Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today's motion from the Government speaks of workers' rights, but in reality the SNP are pursuing their usual tactic of seeking grievances with the UK Government on every single issue. This is another divisive SNP debate. It's not about Scotland's key priorities, it's about the SNP's political priorities. They could have spent the time in this Parliament on how the Scottish and UK Government could work together to attract workers from other parts of the United Kingdom or further afield. That would have been a worthy debate.
Jenny Minto.
Thank you for taking the intervention, Sharon Dowey. I'm interested to know how the member expects the Scottish Government to work with the UK Government when they treat the Scottish Government with such visible contempt.
Sharon Dowey.
Thank the member for the intervention. I think we've heard from every single debate, every single question that we hear in the chamber, that the SNP treat the UK Government with contempt. And my thing in this chamber is that we need to be working together constructively, because it is a devolved government. There's things that the SNP and this government are responsible for, and we need to focus on that instead of trying to have, and this is what I'm covering in my speech, instead of trying to cause continual division within the United Kingdom. So that would have been a worthy debate where we could have examined ways to grow Scotland's tax revenues and increase funding for public services. Or they could have discussed a points-based migration system, which they once supported back in Nicola Sturgeon's 2013 White Paper. That could have been an opportunity to explore what we need to do to attract more highly skilled workers and non-EU citizens. Or they could have debated why Scotland is the only UK country. Okay, thanks.
Emma Harper.
Thank you very much, Sharon Dowey, for giving way. One of the things that the Migration Advisory Committee stated was that they failed to acknowledge that social care workers were skilled. Is that not something that, if that was switched around, then we might be able to recruit staff from Europe if they are considered skilled workers?
Sharon Dowey.
And that's the point of the whole debate. We could have had a debate on how we're going to try and encourage people to come to Scotland, how we're going to increase our workforce, but instead we've got this debate again on Brexit. So my point is, which you'll get in the speech, we need to concentrate on things that are actually devolved and we are responsible for in this Parliament. And we need to work with
Dowey, sorry to interrupt. Could I just ask, is your microphone definitely on or in the right position? Because we're finding your voice is just a wee bit less audible than... Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. Please continue.
Okay. Or they could have debated why Scotland is the only UK country with a projected fall in our population by 2045. That could have established why the rest of the UK seems to be better at attracting people to live and work. But instead, this debate is mostly the SNP government... I'll need to make progress, sorry. But instead, this debate is mostly the SNP government taking aim at the UK government. Of course, among the radical claims that the SNP make, there is plenty they fail to mention. They don't mention a word about the fact that the high standards of rights are being maintained by the UK government now that we have left the European Union. They don't raise that the UK government has one of the best records in workers' rights in the world. They don't speak about any of the benefits for business that could come from cutting red tape and bureaucracy. They don't bring up that the UK already goes further than minimum EU standards on annual leave, paid maternity leave, flexible leave and parental leave. They don't say that the minimum wage is higher in the UK than in most EU member states. Statistics show the UK has the 5th highest minimum wage in the world. They don't mention that the UK provided the right to paternity leave nearly 20 years before the EU, way back in the Employment Act 2002. And they don't raise that the time for UK maternity leave is nearly 3 times more than the EU minimum requirement. In the UK, statutory maternity leave is 52 weeks and 39 are paid. However, EU legislation sets the minimum period for maternity leave at just 14 weeks. They don't state that the strikes bill only allows the UK government to make sure that there are minimum service levels for key services including health, education, fire and rescue, transport, border security and nuclear installations. They don't bring up the fact that so many countries across the European Union have laws protecting a minimum service level, including France and Italy. Yeah. So what we end up with today is an SNP debate that doesn't advance or protect workers' rights. Yeah. It doesn't do anything to improve the lives of the people of Scotland. All the SNP motion today seeks to do is point the finger of blame at the UK Government. Yet again, all the SNP are interested in doing is complaining that a UK-wide referendum produced a UK-wide result that the UK Government is delivering. But we know Nicola Sturgeon's Government doesn't like respecting the results of referendums. Yeah. I would have had more respect for the SNP and the issue of workers' rights if they approached it in good faith with Scotland's best interests at heart, but they haven't done that. The SNP have acted out of blatant political self-interest at every turn. Instead of doing what they could to make it work as best as possible for Scotland, they spent all their energy in trying to exploit it in a vain attempt to drive up support for another divisive independence referendum. The SNP tactics are not working. Time and time again, they focus more on provoking a fight with the UK Government rather than giving all their attention to Scotland's real priorities, and this debate is no different. It looks less like a sincere intent to stand up for workers' rights and more like a shabby attempt to further a political grievance. No matter what the UK Government seeks to achieve, the SNP will oppose it. They are not interested in working together for the benefit of the people of Scotland. They are solely concerned about their own selfish political aims. So instead of backing the SNP's latest attempt at division, I urge colleagues to support Alexander Stewart's amendment to today's motion. Thank you.
Thank you.